What's up, chicken nuggets? So this month is my 10-year lift anniversary. That's right, I've been lifting for 10 years, during which I have gone from this to this. Quite a change. So I'm going to make a video that I wish more content creators would make. Not the perfect workout, not the optimal thing, not the thing they wish they would have done, but what they actually did. So I'm just going to break it down year by year, what I was doing in the gym, rough measurements if I have them, body weight, FFMI, lean mass, how jacked was I, how much muscle did I gain each year in my best estimate. And I think this will be actually very relatable and perhaps even inspirational for you guys who are on that natural lifting path and feel like you are very, very far away from this kind of physique. First, pre-lifting, I am 17 in this picture. And you can see, like, I have a small amount of muscle. This is mostly just like from push-ups and obviously not knowing what I was doing and not taking it that seriously. I was running quite a bit as well. You can see I have like a decent structure. You wouldn't look at this kid and be like, yeah, Ronnie Coleman, watch out. No, like it's not like a Phil Heath playing basketball kind of picture. And I look, pretty average. Here's another one from 2006. I was 17, running a lot. Looking pretty average. 2007, you can see my back here. I actually have decent spinal erectors. This was at summer camp. I would go into the woods and find a big log and reach down, toss it up behind me. It would land behind me, then I would do the same thing repeatedly for high amounts of volume. I don't know why I did this. I wasn't really training for anything. I was running a lot as well, but I think that explains the spinal erectors. And here's another angle of that same competition, and I got my ass kicked, by the way. And you can see here, there's actually a little bit of visible trap, despite me really doing absolutely nothing to focus on that. And because there's a visible trap, that obviously means I was on steroids, right? According to Reddit. But I certainly wasn't big. You can see here a picture with some other people. I'm not like a big guy. You wouldn't be like, so do you lift weights or anything? No, like I was primarily a distance runner who occasionally did some push-ups and was fairly lean. From 2009 to 2014, just before I started lifting, I was basically just running a lot, 70, 80, 90 miles a week, all of it pretty darn hard. Tempo runs, threshold runs, hill sprints. I don't really have like a sort of take an easy day or go for an easy recovery run type of setting. And so basically everything was pretty hard, which was often to my detriment. But you can see I'm pretty lean, I'm fairly skinny. In this picture, you can still see visible trap, so still on the juice, obviously. You could see she was cropped out. I don't know when I did that. And this was a little old lady who would bring me bowls of rice, I think because she thought I was starving. And so she's out angling me here, but you can see her arms are actually bigger than mine. And so when I started lifting, I was 68 kilos, around 150 pounds. Probably about 10-11% body fat. I had veins all down my legs, abs despite not having very thick abdominal muscles. Very, very lean. And so that equates to around 61 kilos of lean body mass or around 18 FFMI. And within 2 months, I had gone up to 77 kilos or around 170 pounds. Not all of it was muscles. I didn't gain 20 pounds of muscle in 2 months. Okay, chill. But a lot of it was muscle, a lot of it was glycogen and water and just filling out from being a half-starved distance runner and having this new stimulus of lifting weights. And I don't have my training logs from back then. From what I recall, though, I was kind of treating it like distance running, where you do a lot of intervals and you do higher volume and you want to feel really tired at the end of the workout. You're just pushing, pushing, pushing. And if you're not gassed and exhausted and tired, then it wasn't a good workout. But it seemed to work fairly well overall. I don't have a ton of pictures from this time, but you can see here at May 2015, I was 81 kilos, so 176 or so pounds. Definitely not as lean as before. You can see the face is puffed up a little bit and there's a little bit of softness, but definitely visibly bigger. The arms have increased in size and I don't look quite as emaciated. No old ladies bringing me bowls of rice, unfortunately, but probably for the best overall. When I started lifting, my strength was around probably a little bit above a plate for squat. I couldn't do 1 plate in the bench and about a plate and a half in the deadlift. Fast forward to July of 2015, and I could do 150 kilos in the deadlift for a single. I then did the Smolov squat program, the infamous sort of 3-week cycle. I skipped the intro phase and went right to the most difficult part of the program. And I remember squatting 120 kilos, 2.5 plates after that. And I also deadlifted 170 kilos and did a 6x5 with 3 plates. And by the end of that year, I was 86 kilos. I ate a lot during small off. I was just constantly hungry and constantly sore and just feeling like crap because I didn't really prepare the body well for it. But I was 86 kilos or 189 pounds at around 20% body fat. And so I had jumped up to 20.5 FFMI. So first year and a little bit, so September 2014 to the beginning of 2016, I estimate that I gained 8 kilos of lean body mass or around 18 pounds of gains. 2016 was not a great year of training. Again, I don't have training logs from this time period. I wrote everything down, but I wrote it in a paper journal, which I lost at some point. So yes, you should be using something like Boostcamp or at least something digital that you can back up and keep safe. Because if you're traveling with your training log and your food log, then it can easily get lost, which is what happened to me. I was getting into minimalism quite a bit. I was program hopping quite a bit. I didn't really have a set plan. I just would read something on T Nation and be like, that's cool. That sounds like fun. I'll squat every day. I'll train twice a day to get a super compensation effect because Charles Poliquin said so. And so this wasn't as productive as it could be, but I was still fairly new to training. So you can see here in this picture, it's from late May 2016. I am 86 kilos in this picture, and I'm definitely leaner than I was when I first hit that body weight. So I've recomped a little bit. You can see there's a little bit of quad definition. I'm certainly not the Hulk or anything like that, but I've had a decent response to training, and I'm up about 18 kilos from where I started. Here's a picture from October, Halloween 2016. Again, I was going out a lot. I was drinking probably most weekends. I was serious about training. I was sort of obsessed with it, but I wasn't obsessed with doing everything I needed to do to get the best possible results in terms of diet, lifestyle, stress management, sleep, all those other things. But I'm still adapting well to training. I'm still enjoying it. I'm still learning a lot. And so you can see, I'm getting decent results, I would say. And so by the end of the year, I was 86 kilos, around 16% body fat, so 21.5 FFMI. So that second year, I gained 3 kilos or around 7 pounds of muscle. And 2017 was actually a pretty decent year of training. I would say that it was actually better than 2016 in a lot of ways. I was doing DC training. Normally DC training is ABA 1 week and then BAB the next week, but I decided to do it all in 1 week. So very few recovery days and just doing workout after workout after workout. I loved going to the gym. I loved working hard and I could recover from it. I was just working as a teacher. I didn't really have a lot of life stress. There was a lot of ego lifting. I did 30 kilo for 25 lateral raises. Yeah, let that sink in. 66-pound lateral raises. I guarantee you those were absolutely ugly. I bulked up to 90 kilos, roughly 18% body fat. And then in May, I cut back down to 85 kilos. I was doing German volume training. I did German volume training on deadlifts, 3 plates per side when my max was only like 180, 190 kilos. So I had good endurance. I had good work capacity, maybe overdid it at some points, but I was also progressing well and recovering well as well. Well. And I actually did a gym tour this year. And so this actually gives me some of the first like actual video footage of my physique around this time because I wasn't taking videos or many photos myself because I just didn't really think of that. This is around 90 kilos, 89 kilos, somewhere around there. I would say around 16, 17% body fat. So I've definitely made some gains. Newbie gains are over. I'm into more of the early intermediate phase, somewhere around there. I have a decent physique. And by the end of the year, I was, say, 90 kilos, 16% body fat. That's 22.7 FFMI. And so the third year, I had gained 3.5 kilos or around 8 pounds of muscle. Now, 2018. 2018 was a crazy year. I was switching jobs. A lot of things were up in the air. I met my wife that year, which was awesome. I was doing huge amounts of volume in the gym. Around this time, volume was becoming very, very popular. There were a lot of studies coming out saying that, 30, 40, 45 sets are best. And so that's kind of exactly what I did, despite not having a very good overall life situation, not being in a very good place financially. I think in some ways I was using the gym as just like an escape from reality. It was not a very stable year. Like I had to go to Hong Kong at some point and then also get a new passport and then come back to China. And I just met this wonderful woman and was like, okay, I know I want to go back, but I have to find a way back. And then I had to go to Guangzhou to get a new passport, then back to Hong Kong to get a new visa. And so a lot of things were just very stressful. And I was probably trying to do like 600, 700, 800 sets per month in the gym on top of all of that. I was also working a lot. There's this thing in China called Jojo Liu 996, where you work from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days per week. And so sometimes I would be walking home and I would just do like dips and pull-ups in the park. At this point, I could barely afford a gym membership. Things were just not, I just was not in a good situation overall. But I would say overall this year, I put on about 1.5 kilos of muscle still. So my wife and I met midway through that year. We moved in together. We were staying in like an 8 or 9 or 10 square meter apartment. For reference, a king size bed is 4 square meters. So it was not very big at all. Sharing a bathroom with other people, really having to look at what we were spending money on to be very, very careful with things, just kind of scraping by. It was rough. It was rough. By the way, this video is sponsored by Boostcamp. Now, I wish I had Boostcamp when I started. I was just writing things in a paper little journal that I lost. It's probably decomposing in a river somewhere. And so I kind of just have to guess at a lot of the training variables that I did when I first started lifting. But you don't have to do that. You can use Boostcamp, gives you everything you need to track your training. Plus, you get access to some of the best plans out there. If you don't know what to do, you can just hop on a fixed plan, be observant, you can tweak it over time, but that is going to be the best way to be a sure thing to Gainesville. So once again, thank you to Boostcamp for sponsoring this video. And just being tired all the time, waking up to an alarm, getting on the metro, being absolutely packed in there, just being sweaty during the summer and you're in your work clothes that you can barely afford and you have to be doing laundry all the time, but then you can barely afford detergent and you're not getting paid for your work. And it's just like, yeah, it was a tough year. It was a tough year, but I still put on muscle, motherfucker. So 95 kilos, 209 pounds at around 19% body fat. So approximately 23 FFMI. However, 2019, I don't think I gained any muscle, primarily because I was trying to stay too lean for too long. I was thinking about getting into the fitness industry. I was writing my first book, Sweat, and I was just trying to take pictures because I thought, you have to be super shredded to be in the fitness industry, right? And so I was probably down to around 10, 11, 12% body fat. I was running a lot, not eating a lot. Actually, that was part of it because, when you are pressed up against the wall, cutting is a lot financially cheaper than bulking. So that was part of it. And performance tanked. I went down to where I was failing 4-plate deadlifts, which I could do for 8, 10 reps before, or not being able to bench 2 plates. And so, yeah, I lost a lot of strength. My wife and I got married that year. So it was a good year. It was a rough year. It was a difficult year. It was a stressful year. I made a video talking about how I think creatine caused hair loss. I think that was just stress from 2019 and just trying to stay too lean. I got shingles, like a disease that only old people with compromised autoimmune deficiency whatever's get. And I think it was just not sleeping well, not eating well, go, waking up early, not getting a lot of sleep. And so, yeah, shingles. But still, I cut down to around 83, 84 kilos, and I think I look pretty fucking good. I mean, I think some poses there look pretty good for the situation that I was in. September 2019, I started writing on Quora, and this was obviously not a source of income. You don't get paid for your answers on Quora, but I thought that, hey, deep down, at some point, I'll be able to turn this into a source of income, into a living, into potentially a job, or maybe even a career. So I had bulked back up, I was making new gains, I had momentum, I didn't have really any source of income, but I felt like I was just around the corner from doing something. And then 2020, remember that? Yeah, COVID. So gyms shut down, basically everything here in China shut down.
Nothing for you. Oh, this is fantastic.
And so I was down to doing workouts in the park, sometimes not even then because they would close the parks because I guess that could be a source of transmission. And so, doing like push-ups in your apartment, stuff like that. And it was rough. I definitely lost a good amount of performance, and I actually probably lost muscle as well, doing a little bit more running just to find something to put my energy into. I was also working a lot. I was getting started on YouTube around that time. You can go back and scroll through my Instagram and my first YouTube videos to get a picture of sort of the training that I was doing. Definitely not good compared to the gym. And so I would say I lost lower body muscle. When I went back to the gym, I was still working a lot. I was legitimately probably working 80 or 90 hours a week. You wake up, you work, you go to the gym, you get back, you work, and you work till midnight, 1 a.m., and then you go to bed. And so you're basically working all day when you're first starting out as an entrepreneur. And so anyone who's like 4-hour work week, yeah, probably full of shit. And so around this time, YouTube starts to take off. Sean Nalawani actually gave me a shout out when I had around 6,000 or 7,000 subscribers. And I got 1,000 subscribers in a single day, which blew my mind. So things are starting to, gain momentum. I'm starting to coach people. The book is selling. I think it was still on Amazon at this point. I was selling it for $8, and I was making like $3 per copy or something ridiculous. But I am showing signs of momentum. However, with COVID and then trying to get back from COVID and working a ton, I don't think I actually gained any muscle that year. So 2019, no gains. 2020, also no gains. But, other areas in life were kind of taking priority. In 2021, from January to May, I went on a cut down to 84 to 85-ish kilos. And I actually think that I was more impressive looking, bigger, and leaner in 2019 compared to 2021, which was a little bit disheartening. Maybe I was a little bit dehydrated, a little bit flat. I think I was leaner than the pictures actually led on. But still, from 2019 to 2021, not a lot of progress. In the second half of 2021, I went on a pretty big bulk, all the way up to 98.5 kilos or 217 pounds. I started doing incline curls for the first time. I changed my split to the split that I have now. I was doing cable lateral raises. I was doing a lot of overhead triceps work. I was hitting arms directly twice per week, which was a lot more than in the past. I was doing machine lateral raises. I was doing one-arm machine rows, Helms rows, chest-supported rows, and it was basically a lot more pure bodybuilding training than I was before. Volume was still pretty high, but I think I was in a much better place in terms of stress, in terms of finances, in terms of life stability compared to 2018 and 2019, when a lot of things were kind of just up in the air. My arms went from 16.5 for the right and 16 for the left, up to 18 for the right and 17.5 for the left. Not at the same body fat percentage. This is with a whole bunch of weight gain, but clear gains. Legs went from 27.25 to 26.25. Again, that is with some fat gain, but still, if you put 2 inches on your legs, you're probably gaining a good amount of muscle. Chest went from 44.5 up to 47.5. So that was a very, very productive bulk. And I would say by the end of it, I was up to around 23.6 FFMI. And that year, I gained 2 kilos roughly, or 4.5-ish pounds of muscle. But keep in mind that half of the year was cutting and then about half of the year was bulking. And so that was pretty good going, and I felt good about my training at that point. Going into 2022, I did a mini cut from January to May, which is a little bit long for a mini cut. I probably should have made that a little bit shorter. In February, I actually had a QL injury, which was pretty bad. It was pretty rough. I could not walk properly. I could not sit down for long periods of time. I sometimes had to work from bed. I couldn't put my shoes on without really being very careful with things. It was rough. However, that also forced me to get away from just do the barbell back squat for your legs. I was doing Smith machine hack squats for the first time. I was doing machine squats for the first time, both of which I would have turned my nose up before this, but I think this was actually a blessing in disguise. In March, there were more lockdowns, so more bodyweight stuff, but I bought rings, and I even wrote a full book on rings, and I think these were actually very, very helpful. You can check them out on my website, verityfit.com, if you want to peruse that. I re-injured my QL, unfortunately, about 10 times over the next 10 months, so it was a little bit frustrating, but I was also visibly gaining size in my legs, so I was not too unhappy, especially as that was a main goal. At that cut, I got down to around 91 kilos or 200 pounds, around 12% body fat, definitely the leanest that I had been at that body weight. Then I bulked again. So I bulked again all the way up to 101.7 kilos or 224 pounds. I benched 2 plates for 10. I incline dumbbell bench pressed 40 kilos for 11. I dumbbell pressed the 40 kilo dumbbells for 4, and I inclined dumbbell curled the 24 kilos for 6. So numbers were moving up. Legs were up to 27 inches, arms up to 18.25 for the right and 17.75 for the left. So same training split, a lot of the same movements, very, very consistent here. Lower life stress, better sleep, YouTube going well, everything. And so I would say that year I gained another 2 kilos or 4.4 pounds of muscle. From November 2022 until May 2023, I went on a giga cut. So this was not just a mini cut to prepare for another bulk. This was like a see how lean can I get kind of thing. And I did get pretty lean. I would say somewhere between 7 and 9% body fat. It's hard to nail it down exactly when I'm just doing an estimate. Probably not 5-6%. I wasn't quite there, but definitely under 10% body fat. And this is when I started getting, not my first steroid accusations, I had been getting those for a while, but where a lot of people were like, oh, I bet my life he's not natural, stuff like that. But I think it was a very successful cut. I went all the way down to around 87, 88 kilos. So around 8% body fat spits out around 24 FFMI. So I think I kept the majority of my muscle this time. I was not running nearly as much. I took things a little bit slower. I wasn't quite as aggressive most of the time. I was eating a little bit more intuitively. I wasn't counting calories. And I think that this was my most successful cut yet. However, that is a very long time cutting, and it kind of wrecked me in terms of my motivation, in terms of my productivity, in terms of being able to sit down in a chair because all of the meat on my glutes was just completely gone, and it was rough. It was a rough cut, and I kind of just took the rest of the year to recover from it. I've heard about these post-show rebounds where you gain a ton of lean body mass really quickly. I kind of felt like it took me at least a month or two to get back in the swing of things, and by the end of the year, I was just kind of getting back into enjoying training again and being motivated to push. And so I would say overall in 2023, I didn't really gain very much muscle at all, maybe a kilo at best. And then in 2024, I have switched up my training a little bit more, doing more like one arm rows with the cable and a little bit more, so quote unquote optimal training via Brian Bornstein, Kasim Hansen, a lot of the 3DMJ guys. And I think I have seen benefits from that. And I would say that I have gained probably another 1.5 kilos, maybe even 2 kilos of muscle this year, putting me at around 24.8 to 25-ish FFMI. So this year I've bulked up to my highest body weight ever, 104.3 kilos, or almost 230 pounds. Since then, I've gone down a little bit. I mini cut and now I'm back up. I don't know if I'm going to chase a 240 or 250 or anything like that. Those are kind of crazy numbers. I'm kind of happy just main gaining right now. I know that sounds shocking or even hypocritical. I think when you're advanced, main gaining makes sense. But when you're an intermediate, or especially if you're a beginner and you are lean, actively bulking is probably the way to go. Anytime I tried to maintain too lean of a physique and I wasn't eating enough, I did not see very much progress. And so right now, in terms of measurements, I have just over 18.5 inches for my right arm, just under 18 inches for my left arm, legs around 27 inches, chest just over 49 inches, RDLs, 3 plates for 18, almost 4 plates. I'm knocking on that door. I'll get that soon. And then incline dumbbell curl, 27.5 kilos, 60 pounds for 5 reps. So over the past decade, I've gone from around 61 kilos of lean mass up to around 83 kilos of lean mass. So I put on about 22 kilos or 48.4 pounds in my estimate of lean body mass. So not quite 50, but give me another year or two and I'll make it 50. And so I often get comments from people who are implying steroid use from something like, oh, he's been training for 6 or 7 years and then he just suddenly blew up, or, oh, he just suddenly learned how to train. The training process is not linear. I know these people are probably beginners or maybe intermediate at best. That's just how life is. It doesn't just go in a straight line. You have hiccups, you have stressful times, you have stuff where training isn't the top priority or sometimes can't be the top priority, and that is totally normal. Your life situation will absolutely impact training, and that's just something you kind of have to accept at times. And so it's not going to be this perfect line, this perfect asymptote where, oh, this year you gain this much, then this much, then this much, and then year 7, maybe you'll gain a pound. Well, no, because you probably weren't doing things all that well before. Most people don't know as much as they think they know. Most people don't train as hard as they think they train. And so if you take care of these things, you can probably see better progress than you expect. And if you had shown me 5 years ago what I look like now, I probably wouldn't have believed it was possible. But if you keep learning, you keep pushing, you keep working hard, you can probably go further than you think. And it has been quite the journey, and I just want to thank all of you for following along, for showing your support, and I'm excited and interested to see where things go. And along the way, I've written 3 books, so thank you to everyone who has picked those up and who supports the channel and allows me to do what I do. It really does mean a lot. It helps keep things going. So yeah, that's my training history. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll try to get to as many of them as I can. I'm sure you have lots of questions. A lot of them are going to be in the books, but if not, yeah, drop a comment down below and I'll do my best to enlighten and inform. All right, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
£3.
Incline dumbbell curls.
That is my recipe for wild
Gains.
Yeah, that's right. I got 'em all.